Good afternoon and welcome to From Where We Are, stories of news and culture through the lens of Southern California and USC. I'm Liam Wadey.
And I'm Sana Mahmood. We're coming to you live from Studio B in USC's Annenberg Media Center. It's Thursday, April 17th, 2025.
On today's show, we stop by Balboa Park to visit the botanical gardens, dial into the case of the Menendez brothers, see how students feel about campus safety, and premiere our 5th episode of Live from the Halo. All that and more on From Where We Are.
But first, these are some of today's top news headlines.
At least 2 people have been killed and 6 others injured after a mass shooting took place at Florida State University in Tallahassee. The 2 people killed were not students at the university. The suspected gunman, FSU student Phoenix Eichner, has been identified as the son of a Leon County Sheriff's deputy. The gunman has been detained after being shot and wounded for refusing to obey officer demands to comply with the police. The story is developing.
Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni met with President Donald Trump today to discuss trade tensions between the United States and the European Union. Countries in the EU, such as Germany and Spain, have been hit with a 25% tariff on imported goods. The EU is hoping that the right-wing leader of Italy will be able to strike a deal with the U.S. president. As of now, there has not been an approved deal between the 2 political figures, though the British broadcast channel reported that the 2 leaders sounded optimistic for a deal in the future.
A federal judge has ruled that Google is liable for holding illegal online ad tech monopolies. This marks the second court ruling for the trillion-dollar company in a year. Last August, another judge determined that Google had a monopoly in online search. The lawsuit could prompt major changes for the company, as demands have been made for Google to sell some pieces of ad technology business by the Justice Department.
Coachella Weekend 2 is right around the corner, and one of the biggest surprises wasn't just celebrity appearances, it was the traffic. This morning, attendees were already setting up camp for the festival at the Empire Polo Grounds in Indio, California. The early arrivals come after some people said they faced up to a 12-hour wait to enter the campgrounds last weekend. It prompted a formal apology from the festival's organizers. Now, festival goers are speculating how smoothly the weekend will play out for the music's biggest spring event.
Nintendo Switch 2 is racing its way towards a June release date with Mario Kart World at the center of the game console's hype. Today, Nintendo gave Mario Kart fans an early spill on the game with a live stream sneak preview. But there's a twist. Now, gamers can race 24 cars at a time in an open world where the racetracks are interconnected. Despite the $80 price, fans are still eager to get their hands on the new addition to the iconic game series.
Summer is around the corner, and that means road trips. Katie Havens recently made a road trip to San Diego to check out Balboa Park's landmark botanical building. The historic indoor garden was under renovation for 3 years. It reopened a few months ago.
Amongst the calming flow of water, San Diego's Balboa Park bustles with people. This President's Day weekend, tourists crowd the gardens amongst the noisy musicians, quacking ducks, and the building's rushing fountains. The Botanical Building has stood in the park since 1914. It provides locals and tourists alike an escape from reality amidst its lush greenery. 3 years ago, that escape was taken away as the city made its first phase of reconstruction efforts to the building. But since its highly anticipated reopening in December of 2024, a steady stream of spectators have circulated the gardens, like Anjoy Bolivar, who drove down from Orange County.
I work 9 to 5, so I don't really appreciate the beauty of nature in front of the computer. So getting to see it in spaces like this are really it's there. I can breathe fresh air.
Bolivar has been to the Botanical Garden both before and after its renovation. This time, she brought her aunt during her visit from the Philippines to see the new and improved building. After a few years, Bolivar is glad to be back.
Yeah, I get to see some species of plants that are not really common in the United States, that I think they survive more in humid areas. So it was nice seeing them.
Visitors and volunteers alike share enthusiasm for the building's unique architecture.
Most people say, it's beautiful.
This is Dawn Isbell, She's been volunteering at the park since 2020 and got involved with the botanical garden shortly before it closed. She notes that some parts of the renovations are still in process.
The plants are not as lush as they were. A few more things need to be brought back in, and some things need to grow in, so the look of the plants is a little different, but everybody says the building's beautiful.
Isabella understands how much the botanical garden means to people, but she also has her own personal connection to the park.
I have baby pictures of my kids in the rose garden, actually, all dressed up, and it's always kind of been a special spot.
For Isabel and many others who frequent the park, the 3-year period of renovation was a hard goodbye. The garden is a shared community space that hosts a variety of events and gatherings.
We have over a dozen different botanical organizations. They have plant shows. We've got children's music lessons, children's dance lessons, orchestra. So a lot of different community groups use the space.
Balboa Park carries a lot of history on its shoulders, starting from the late 1800s when the city set aside the land to plant trees. The reasoning behind the botanical building's renovation was to preserve a bit of this history and to make the building look closer to its original form.
We do have quite a number of community groups that are very active in terms of the park history and art and architecture, and very big on, when possible, to keep the historical look or restore things to their original appearance.
The restoration includes wood paneling, new windows, and an anticipated exterior garden. Carla Murillo from Los Angeles has visited here multiple times. She likes the atmosphere created by the new wood paneling and says that now the new space has more sunlight.
I think just especially living in the more urban area, just being able to be in a different environment with more greenery is actually good for our mental health and just a different way to disconnect.
Murillo sees Balboa Park, as many of its fans do, as a relaxing environment that allows for a break from the bustle of city life and which is free to visit.
It really is a park for the people.
A park for the people, indeed, where the community can come together and share a treasured space that has been restored. For Annenberg Media, I'm Katie Havens.
This week, Harvard University refused to bow to demands from President Trump, including that the school could discontinue DEI programs. The Trump administration has retaliated, taking away federal funding and threatening Harvard's tax-exempt status. Catherine Contreras-Hernandez has the latest on this ongoing battle.
Lately, Harvard and President Donald Trump have been at war. Last Friday, the Trump administration sent a letter demanding that Harvard put an end to diversity and equity programs, ban masks at protests on campus, and change its admissions process, among other things. The Trump government says its demands on Harvard came from what it called a failure to, quote, live up to both the intellectual and civil rights conditions that justify federal investment. In response, Harvard put out a statement this week saying, quote, the university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. The Trump administration retaliated, cutting over $2 billion in funding for Harvard. And President Trump took to social media, calling for the IRS to take away Harvard's tax-exempt status. Then today, the Trump administration threatened to ban international students from enrolling in the university. Some have wondered what kind of precedent this sets for other private universities that receive funding from the government. Melanie Brady is a master lecturer of education here at USC, which falls into this category.
I think that all eyes are on Harvard, given their status and traditional high ranking across the board as a major research institution in education, well attended, produced many leaders. That they're in the throes of showing how this might play out for other organizations and other educational entities and potentially nonprofits.
Brady says that for Harvard specifically, a change in tax-exempt status could impact the university's other forms of revenue.
It could impact donations. Donations are write-offs for that very reason, to donate to those entities that are able to provide those possibilities of, reducing the amount of tax you're paying, especially when you're a larger player in terms of finances. And that could also impact scholarship funds. That can impact the research. It can impact basic operations.
There is a law that prohibits the president from telling the IRS who to investigate. But, according to a CNN News report, the IRS is already making plans to rescind Harvard's tax-exempt status. There's been speculation on college campuses around the country as to where this will all lead. Professor Brady says that it's important to stay hopeful.
I don't think that we can live in a place of fear. We have to come from a place of strength and planning and expect the best, prepare for the worst.
Something that many universities have already begun to do. For Annenberg Media, I'm Catherine Contreras Hernandez.
Our next story goes back 30 years. Lawyers returned to the courtroom today for the resentencing trial of the Menendez brothers. Emily Sau has the story.
The Menendez brothers' long-awaited trial was postponed earlier this afternoon. The ongoing hearing, which was scheduled for this morning, will determine if the brothers will serve their remaining time in prison or if they will have the opportunity of release. The trial today and in the coming week will decide whether the brothers should serve a shorter sentence on the basis of their rehabilitation. The highly publicized trial is controversial because of the brothers' defense of sexual abuse by their parents. Professor of Journalism Practice Alan Abramson, a licensed former lawyer, covered the courtroom trials when the case opened 30 years ago.
The sexual abuse has never been corroborated, and to be honest with you, it's completely irrelevant. So all you have to do is read a federal appeals court decision on this matter in 2005, and it lays everything out in simple black and white English. Simple black and white English.
Abramson also appeared in the 2024 Netflix documentary featuring the Menendez brothers.
If more reporters, more journalists would take the time to read the Ninth Circuit opinion from 2005, they would understand that this case is about two brothers who shotgunned their parents to death. Case closed.
The outcome of the highly publicized trial of Lyle and Eric Menendez for the 1989 shotgun murders of their parents is unprecedented.
If I could predict the future, I would go to Vegas and sit at the blackjack table. Honestly, all I know is that it is a very unusual thing that 30 years after being convicted and sent to life in prison, the Menendez brothers are in the news.
Despite much speculation, a definitive outcome will not be available until May 9th. Judge Michael Jessic said that although he will be hearing testimonies today and tomorrow, the decision for the resentencing is not likely to come until next week. For Annenberg Media, I'm Emily Tsao. On these rides, mine on the road, your dilated eyes.
I'm Liam Wadey. We're glad you're with us for From Where We Are.
And I'm Sana Mahmood. It's 13 minutes past the hour. Coming up, see how safe USC students feel on campus. Dive into the deep sea to meet a fascinating creature, and sit down with Keaton Orava, our Live from the Halo performer for this week's episode. Stay with us.
I didn't care to stay the plane, kept my mouth closed.
USC has long been known for its beautiful campus, but has bordered on emptiness when it comes to campus safety. We checked in with students to see how safe they really feel in and around campus. Lalu Ratsimia has the story.
This past Monday, 3 people were shot and injured at a bus stop in Exposition Park, just across the street from USC. The university and its surrounding area naturally comes with all the dangers of being in a big city. Here's how Trojans are keeping themselves safe.
One thing that I like to do, and I encourage my friends and family to do too, is I share my location with my friends and I let them know where I'm going if I'm going somewhere. I don't walk alone, if I'm leaving somewhere late at night, from a party or whatever. I won't go by myself, I'll go with a friend.
That's USC sophomore Sophia Magner. Her number one tip is to share and check your friends' locations. Other Trojans emphasize being aware of your surroundings. USC freshman Jack Benson thinks something as little as your headphones can go a long way.
I see a lot of people walking with both headphones on, and I feel like it might be good, especially when outside the campus gates, to just put one ear off, just to make sure you're more aware of what's going on.
Other students feel safe in South Central as long as they take the necessary precautions.
I do feel safe. I know that there have been some security alerts and safety concerns, but I find that my commute from the bus stop to USC, I've never had any issues. There are homeless sleeping underneath the overpass, but again, they've never caused me any trouble. They don't even talk to me. I've never encountered any problems.
That was master's student Michelle Laurendine. She said living off campus has not affected her sense of safety. Laurendine, like many other Trojans, is satisfied with USC's safety measures.
I actually really appreciate USC's security system. I know that the Yellow Jackets provide like a good countermeasure to make sure that the students are safe on campus, they feel welcome.
Other students believe there's room for improvement, especially when it comes to educating students about safe practices on campus. First-year law student Reem Shamas had some tips for Trojans to keep themselves safe.
Most importantly, if you feel like you are unsafe, don't try to talk yourself out of that feeling. Definitely contact USC's campus safety. Their app is pretty convenient. I would make sure to have that on you at all times. Also, try to let people know where you're going, especially if you're going out at night.
Magner said USC has more work to do when it comes to educating students on being safe.
I think kind of coming in and like doing continual education about like how to kind of remain street smart and stuff at night without taking like extreme measures like locking up the campus and doing stuff like that. I think allowing students to have the freedom of being in college, but also kind of just letting them know that there are risks to doing certain behaviors, and I think that allows students to kind of make their own decisions, I guess, about being safe.
The most important thing is keeping yourself safe. If you see something, say something. For Annenberg Media, I'm Lalu Retsimia.
I'd like to be under the sea.
Only 5% of the ocean has been discovered, but new discoveries are being made every day. You will never believe what was found. Katie Van Arnhem has the story.
"2,000 feet below the waves of the South Atlantic Ocean, researchers have been searching for a glimpse of the colossal squid. First discovered in 1925, scientists found the head and arms of a colossal squid in the stomach of a sperm whale. However, after a century of further exploration, remains like these are all there is to prove its existence. Rumored to grow up to 46 feet in length, such a large creature has been hard to find, until Tuesday. After a 35-day expedition, it was announced that researchers laid their eyes on the first live colossal squid. A 1-foot-long baby colossal squid, to be exact. Although initially underwhelming, it's expected to grow rapidly. On average, the colossal squid can grow up to 23 feet and weigh 1,100 pounds in just 1 to 2 years. They spend their short lifespan at extreme depths in freezing water, eating fish, other smaller squid, and maybe even their own kind. Scientists have described the mini colossal squid as glass-like. Its transparent body allows for a window into its internal organs, and its large glowing eyes. Its bright orange tentacles slowly propel it through the water. We still know very little about the colossal squid, but this recent discovery may allow scientists to learn more about the elusive creature. For Annenberg Media, I'm Katie Van Arnhem.
Before the premiere of our first episode of Live from the Halo, student artist Keaton Arava is joining us live in the studio to speak more on his musical journey. So, can you tell us a bit about how you first fell in love with music?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, first of all, for having me. This is such a great show. It's sort of an odd one because I started music quite young, sort of when I was 7 or 8, taking guitar lessons, and I hated it. I just never wanted to practice. My mom always tried to get me to practice, and I just hated it. So I sort of put it down for a while, and then, I started going through life, and sort of life things start happening. You fall in love, you get broken up with and sort of that heartbreak. And then also, you have COVID for a year and you come out of COVID and then you're like, I'm going to college now. So there's sort of an existential sort of piece to that. And I sort of came back to music as an outlet for that. And I started writing songs and that was a way for me to sort of explore what my sort of emotions and feelings were and to sort of feel them. And sort of just alone in my room writing songs and then performing them in front of people and having that connection. Sort of I fell in love with that.
That's awesome. So we got a chance to listen to your song Vanishing Act, and I noticed that the lyrics are very vivid and poetic, and which I really love because I love literature and like poetry and all of that. So can you tell us what influenced your writing style?
Definitely. I think a lot of it was other sort of musicians. And then also as a sort of narrative studies major who's not technically in music, but in sort of storytelling more broadly, definitely drawing from literature, from classics, from that sort of thing. Mumford & Sons is another sort of group who I draw from a lot. And they also draw from a lot of sort of classical literature and sort of literature more broadly. But then also sort of like folk pop sorts of groups. Noah Kahn, for example. I love Noah Kahn and Gregory Alan Isakov. Those sorts of artists who really, you really sort of can go on an adventure through their storytelling.
Is there any books that inspire you?
I would say the classics. I'm declaring a classics major soon, so sort of the epics and also the sort of the poetry, the sort of Sappho and Catullus and Ovid as well. That sort of there's sort of a magic to that I like to go back to.
And you said you're a narrative studies major and you're also minoring in theater and cinematic arts. So how are you able to balance all of these creative endeavors with music at the same time?
I think it's great because it sort of gives me the opportunity to bounce different ideas off of one another. I think all of sort of storytelling is centered around trying to express what your core emotions are and connect those with your characters and with other people. And sort of theater, cinematic arts, even though they're different sort of forms to do that, I think that they're very similar in the ways that you sort of are able to express your own emotions and put those into lyrics or into scripts or into your acting. And that sort of all of those processes sort of connect and help me get better at the different other sort of forms of storytelling.
That's cool. And other than being very vivid, your lyrics, they felt very personal. So how does writing songs like help you understand your own emotions and thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. I think sort of when I songwrite, it's usually at sort of 2 a.m. when I'm sort of in my feels and I just need to get something out. So I take my little journal and I just start playing chords and singing along. So sort of just by necessity, it happens to be just things that are true or sort of combinations. Like this song is sort of combinations of sort of the highest highs and the lowest lows to try to sort of portray what emotion I was feeling at the time. So I think truth is where it all has to start, and from there you can sort of build on that truth.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. That's very interesting. So how do you plan to expand your musical passion? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I currently have sort of a bunch of songs that I'm sort of sitting on that I'm looking to release. So I've got to sort of produce those. I've started recording a couple of them, but have to get those out, get those properly produced by someone who knows more what they're doing on that side. And then also keep writing and keep sort of honing that skill to make sure that what I'm producing is really true to the quality that I want to be at.
Awesome.
And finally, what do you hope people will gain from listening to your music?
I think a lot of it has to do with connection. I think that's really what storytelling is being able to connect with others. We all have our differences, but we connect through emotions and we all have similar experiences. And I hope when people listen to my music, they're able to connect in some way and feel the emotions that they feel on a day-to-day basis and sort of connect with the music in that way.
Yes, I love that. So now we are going to take a listen at Keaton Arava's Vanishing Act. Let's hear it.
You sat next to me to play Monopoly. Now your hand's on my knee. Your smile's lightened up this musty room, and I'm a bankrupt man with some good fortune. Let's go for a morning walk on the mall. see the monuments at dawn. Can't tell me this town's not romantic as the sun casts gold over the Potomac. There's a teddy bear on my bed, there since the day you left. Been watching him collecting dust, wondering why you're not in touch. Did you call someone in Comoros and your data plan expired? Did you knock over a candle and your phone is in the fire? Did you go to war with Mycenae, your phone impaled by a spear? I know it seems unlikely, but you're sure as hell not here. And I know you're not a ghost, 'cause you don't believe in those. But are you ever coming back? It's a pretty good vanishing act. Forgive me if I wonder how you've been. Just wanna know you again. Tried going out last Friday night, but you were the dancer and I hate the lights. We won't just up and leave, that's what we agreed. Baby, did you lie to me? Some stormy seas and your phone slipped out your hand? Were you digging up a treasure chest and you left it in the sand? Were you dueling with a wizard and your Wi-Fi caught a spell? I know it seems unlikely, but there's just no way to tell. And I know you're not a ghost, 'cause you don't believe in those. Are you ever coming back? It's a pretty good vanishing act.
That was Keaton Aravo with his song Vanishing Act. Soon you will be able to watch his performance live on Annenberg Media's YouTube page, so stay tuned for that and more episodes. And thanks for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we loved having you here.
Just one more tear to cry, one teardrop from my eye.
And that's all we have time for on today's From Where We Are. Daislyn Satcher executive produced today's show. Jack Waterman produced today's show. We had help from Alex Evans.
Our coach is Mallory Cara. Our audio director is Leslie Bearstein Rojas. Sam Bittman runs our soundboard. Will Gwynn is our live stream manager. And Derek Renfro composed our theme music.
Catch us live on YouTube at Annenberg Radio News Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Subscribe to From Where We Are wherever you're listening to right now and follow us on Instagram at Annenberg Radio. I'm Sana Mahmood.
And I'm Liam Wadey. From all of us at Annenberg Radio, wherever you are, we hope you'll join us again for From Where We Are. So, Sana, are you going to Coachella? Any plans? Or staying in Los Angeles?
I was going to Coachella. I am not. I'm really sad. I'm sad I'm missing Charlie. If she brings everyone out again, I just might cease to exist.
Yeah, I hope she brings out Ariana Grande, because she literally brought out everybody last week. So
I don't think I'd recover if she did that, and I
wouldn't recover either.
Yeah, let's hope she doesn't.